Hello Stampin' friends, this is Jeannie Moss, the Bluegrass Stamper. I am here in the Bluegrass state of Kentucky, and today we have lots of storms swirling around outside, so I'm going to try to make videos between the storms. The first video, this one, is going to be this little Easter card. It says, "Somebody loves you," and on the inside it's Easter greetings. I went to On Stage in Raleigh, and my team and I had a shoebox swap where we each brought a project for everybody to make. And one of my downline, one of my team members, Catherine, brought this as a shoebox swap. So I loved it and decided we would make it in our class. So that's what we did this month, one of our projects. We're using the Storybook Moments suite. I called this a mega suite because it has lots and lots of product. So this is the Storybook Friends stamp set. You can see all the little animals that are in this, and it shows them really small here, but they're actually a little bit bigger than what it shows. So they're more this size. You can see all the animals. We are going to use this bunny. There's also a whole set of dies, including frames, really cute. This is a really pretty detailed frame. This one too. So we have that bundle. And that's the one we'll be using today. And there's also this bundle, the Storybook Garden Patch. And so it has all these cute vegetables and pots and gardening items. One of the things I really like about this is the dies to cut out those things. And then there's this cute little die. This makes the ground, and it cuts spots where you see those. There are slits in the it'll be in your cardstock when you cut it. And you can put those carrots in the ground, or the beets, you can stick them down in the ground just like they're growing in your garden. So this is a really cute set. This is also part of that suite. There's also paper, designer series paper. I'm just going to go through this really quickly. You would get two sheets of each of these. And this you can actually cut out. So the bunny that we're using, we're going to stamp, but it is this bunny. So you could stamp him and cut him out, or you could cut him right out of this paper if you didn't want to fool with the stamping and coloring. Oh, and strawberries. And then there's this piece which has a lot of different sections that you can use for card fronts or layers. More cute animals. I really love this piece. That's Lost Lagoon. I love those colors. And then it also comes, I didn't take these out of the package, but it comes with all these little punch outs. You get 2 sheets of the punch outs. So if you didn't want to even die cut, you could use some of the punch outs on this card, and you wouldn't even have to stamp. That suite also comes with this paper, which we'll be using. So I'll just flip through this quickly. It's all plaid. It's called Timeless Plaid, and there are a lot of different colors in there to choose from. A roll of ribbon. This is petal pink ribbon. And then the antique pearls. This is also included. So you can see there's a lot of product in that suite. So let's get started. You'll need some supplies. This is a half sheet, so 5.5 by 8.5 petal pink. It has been scored and folded in the center, and then I just took my bone folder and burnished it good. So that's our card base. We have a layer for the inside and a layer for the outside. This is Pecan Pie and Basic White. These are both 4 by 5.25. We've got a square of Basic White. This has been cut out with the Stylish Shapes dies. This one is just a little bit larger than 2.25. We've got a piece of Early Espresso, a square. This is 2.5 by 2.5. We've got a scrap to stamp on, and we have DSP. So I've taken that plaid paper and I've cut a couple from 4 different sheets. So 2 little squares. These are, I think, 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. Let me measure just to be sure. Yep, 1 1/4 squares. And I have 8 of those. And then I have a piece of twine and some embellishments. So the first thing we are going to do is to get our stamping out of the way. So I've gone ahead and done some things in advance. I've stamped this little bunny on our scrap. And I'm not going to show you totally how to color him, but I will tell you which colors I used. And I'll get a little start on him. So I've used petal pink for the inside of his ears. I've used pecan pie and crumb cake. So I've taken the crumb cake and I basically colored all over him, but especially in these areas like his face and his belly. And his little tail. And I did color, like I said, all over him. And then I went back in with the pecan pie and I did some little highlights, added a little bit of extra in the darker places. So that ends up looking like this. Hopefully you can see that. I used light mossy meadow for the bow around his neck. So that was petal pink, crumb cake, and pecan pie. And then I cut him out with the little coordinating die. Like I said, you could cut out some of the paper with that if you wanted, instead of coloring him, but he is now ready to go. Also have this piece, which is the inside of our card. And all we're going to do with that is stamp the Easter greetings in early espresso. After I cut the squares, I had a strip of cardstock that was, or strip of DSP that was about 1 inch by the 6 inches, and I cut that in half, so this is a 1/2 inch. And I don't need all of that, but we're going to put this right across the bottom. So I am just going to put a little bit of glue right along here. I'm going to stick that guy on. And I like using glue because you can move it around a little bit. It's a little bit more forgiving. And then we'll just cut the ends off with our paper snips. And this is now ready to go on the inside of our card. So there's the inside of our card, and now we're ready to work on the front. We've got this little piece, this white one that we've cut with the Stylish Shapes dies. Like I said, this is a little bit larger than 2 1/4. We're going to take our early espresso and the stamp that has rocks. So the stamps we're using today are from the Storybook Friends, and we're using this one with the rocks. I'm actually going to bring a piece of scrap paper in there just so I'm not stamping on my foam mat. I'm going to stamp that at the bottom. And then we'll color these rocks. And I used, for that, I used pecan pie, and I colored along the bottom of the rocks. And then I switched over to the crumb cake and colored along the top. And then I used a marker that I don't really use a whole lot. This is the ivory marker. And I just blended those colors together. And there are our rocks. I took the light mossy meadow and colored my little shrubs. And like I said, I'm not going to make you watch all of this. I just wanted to give you an idea of how to do this. And then I used my dark mossy meadow. Oops, that one came right apart. Just to give it a little more definition, just added a little bit here and there along the bottom. So there are the rocks and the bushes. Now I would color all of those, but I already have done that, so you don't have to watch that. And this one's actually already dry and ready to go. So the next step with this piece, we are going to take our boho blue ink pad and a small blending brush, and we're going to add just a little bit of blue into this sky. So to do that, we're going to tap on the pad, and then instead of coming directly to our cardstock piece, we're going to come out here. So you can see that little smudge. We really don't want that little smudge on here, so we'll be putting that out there. And then we'll start off the page and work our way in so that we just get a little bit of that pretty blue color. And that's really about all I want, because I do want our words to show through. So hopefully you can see that little bit of blue. And we'll let that dry for just a few seconds. And I did do the blue first because I want to stamp on this, and I don't want to smear it. So if you did your stamping the words first and then tried to do that blue, I'm afraid that would smear. So I let that dry, and then I'm going back with Some Bunny Loves You, and this is in Early Espresso, and I'm just going to stamp it up here at the top. And our next step, we have a piece of twine, and we're going to tie this twine around this piece. So I'm just going to tie it in a knot, if I can do that without it. Okay, so I want it to be fairly tight. Let's get him tight and pinch, and then pull these two down so that he's tied in a knot. Okay. And then to move this around, if I just pinch that up, I'll be able to slide this wherever I want it. And if it's too loose, you can always go to the back. See how that's pretty loose there? You can add a little bit of your seal across there and just pinch that together, and that will tighten that right up on the front side. So just pull those together. I might need a little bit more seal on there. I didn't get a lot. There we go. And now I can kind of pinch that together, and that will seal that nice and tight. And then I'll go ahead and tie my bow. And I'll fiddle with him a little bit to get him just like I want him. And I'll trim the ends. And this piece is now ready to go on our early espresso piece. So we're just going to, I'm going to go ahead and add more of the seal. And I'm just going to stick that on, center it. So I've got a little bit of a border going around. And there's this piece. Now, we're ready to work on the piece that has all of our little squares on it. And I have a few little tricks for that to get them lined up nicely. So we will lay those out like we want them. You're going to kind of look at them, make sure they're going to fit on there and see what kind of space you have for an outside edge. They don't have a whole lot of border around them. And then this piece will end up going here, so we can lay him down there, see where he's going. And then what I like to do is glue the ones in the corners first. I like to start with my corners. Oops. Yeah, didn't really want him there, did I? That's okay. So I've got just a tiny bit of a border. And try to get glue in the corners of your squares so that the corners will lay down nicely. If you hear that tick-tock, that is my great-grandmother's clock. So now you can see that we can go back and we can put this one in the center and we can see how much room we have on either side. It makes it a little bit easier to lay these down. That's why I like to start with the corners first and then just center that between those two. And if you get in a little pinch and it's just not going to fit, you can always just trim a little piece of a little edge off one of your squares because nobody's really going to notice that. And you can see now why I like to use the glue, because you can see me kind of scooching these around a little bit to get them to fit. So there is our piece with that. We're going to put this on with dimensionals. So I need to find some dimensionals here. We'll center that right in the space. Center that right in the space we have left. And then this is ready to go on our card. You could use your tape runner for this. I have my glue right here and I'm just used to grabbing it. And this will go right on the front of our card. And then we have our little bunny, which I told you I'd previously colored and cut out. And we will put him on with dimensionals as well. So I'm gonna put a little dimensional there and there. And the last thing to do is to add embellishments, and I am not using the embellishments from this suite. I am using the embellishments from the mixed floral media, and these are called low profile dots. I really like these because they are very flat and they'll go through the mail easier than some of the other embellishments. These are in petal pink and the gold, so we're using those. Just gonna grab my take your pick tool and take that off. Stick one down there. I love this take your pick tool. He is so handy for so many things. And there you have it. So there's our cute little Easter card. Some bunny loves you. So I hope you've enjoyed this project. If you have any questions for me, you can email me at bluegrassstamper@gmail.com. I have lots of projects over on my website, www.bluegrassstamper.com. There's also a little button that will pop up for a free tutorial. If you put your name and email address in there, you'll get a free tutorial, and I will add you to my mailing list. So you'll get all the tutorials. I send out a free tutorial every week. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a good non-stormy week. Thanks. Bye.